An
Oh,
honor
sorry.
to introduce Dr. Ashok D. Satpute, a BSAM and MD graduate, also has a PG diploma in English. He has a vast experience of 36 years of teaching, both UG and PG, and also in administration. He has served as a principal at Mysore between 2006 and 2010, as a Senate member, Chairman, Board of Studies, PhD Committee, Editorial Board member, RGHS, Bangalore. He is also a recognized guide in Rasashastra and Vaishajya Kalpana in PG and PhD, member task force, Ayush, Government of Karnataka. He has published books on Rasaratna Samuchaya, the English translation. He has the experience of organizing several national and international conferences. Dr. Satpute will be speaking on patent and classical medicine's misconceptions. Sir?
Namaste to all of you. Separate Chairperson Dr. Jayaprakash, senior colleagues and friends. Please excuse me for my voice is not very proper. Anyway, I'll try to make it comparatively fast. And whenever I go beyond 20 minutes I have been given, Chairman can stop me there and yes, I'll stop. Since morning we have been listening about most of them are speaking on preventive aspect of Ayurveda, strengths of Ayurveda, especially in the health care of the human beings. But there is an important factor of any medical system and in Ayurveda also, the medicines. Now the question is what kind of medicines which have been described in the classical text, which along with classical medicines, what we are using presently being produced by manufacturers. Next slide, please. It's very, I think, interesting title here, drugs, a boon or a bane. In fact, the whole drug industry in the whole world, universe has become phenomenally increased, and the global drug industry is, as we can see, is enlarged with a mind-boggling size. I don't want to go into the details of the statistics of the world pharma scenario, and coming back to Indian pharma scenario also, it is not very small. And thing what we can talk about is the drugs what we are using are the real things which we need to maintain the health of the human being. In fact, Indian herbal industry again has increased enormously, I think within 10 to 15 years. But one thing I'm a little bit skeptic about, are the medicines or the herbal industry we are trying to grow, which is growing and which is supporting the economy of India, economy of the whole world, is it the positive thing or a negative thing? Because even the millions of packs of cigarettes are being produced, pan masala packs are being produced, and a lot of economy is growing and helping the Indian economy. In that context, the enormous growth in the pharma industry, even herbal industry, is actually improving our economy in one way, probably decreasing the health sector or health care of the human being. That's also one of the things we'll have to think about. What is the meaning? More the drug production, obviously, less the disease, we don't know. More the drug industry is growing, more the drugs are being produced. Are you able to say that, hence, the diseases are coming down? No, that's not happening. That's the paradox of the whole thing. Next slide, please. even the contribution of ASU, Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani drug industry has enormously grown in these days. And we can see that the export of raw drugs, raw herbal drugs, export of formulations from India is growing, and both in the sector of classical medicines as well as patent or proprietary medicines. Next slide, please. There is a slight difference between the concept of generic medicine in allopathy and a single drug therapy, what we try to establish in Ayurveda. Obviously, you may be knowing that the generic drug is a single molecule in allopathic system of medicine. And when a single molecule is discovered after a long period of 10 to 15 years and billions of dollars spending, a drug is discovered which is a single molecule ultimately. And after all those safety and efficacy of all those phases, preclinical and clinical phases, after that, the patenting is done. Then that company which is allowed to produce, allowed to manufacture, after patenting, in the market the drug in the brand name. Then after the patent period is over, of course, it is sold in the generic name. Obviously, in allopathic system of medicine, the drug is generally a single molecule. Most of the time, about 90-95% of the drugs what we are seeing are single molecule, and hardly there are few combinations also. Next, please. But whereas I have been talking about the difference, major difference from the modern medicines, the drugs. When we look at the modern medicine, they are a single molecule we generally look into. But whereas in comparison, we can also say that we have a single drug therapy, a single herb as a single unit. Also, we can think of contrasting things in Ayurvedic medicines and modern medicine. And as I have said, single herb is used in a therapy and also a mineral in the form of bhasma, etc. But herb itself is a complex. When we look into the components of chemical composition of a single herb is a very complex material containing several components in it. And when we give the herb to probably a modern chemist or modern biochemist, then he says it's not a single molecule. It's a very complex entity in which we cannot take it as a single molecule. That's an important difference between Ayurvedic drug and an allopathic drug. And obviously the yoga, or what we call the formulation, is of course a combination of several. Obviously it should be, in theory, it is more than 2 drugs combined together to form a formulation. But when we look into the formulations, Ayurvedic yoga, they are in fact multi-unit drugs combined with several drugs together, or also minerals. Next, please. But coming back to the first 1 or 2 slides again, is Ayurveda too a drug-centric? The question we'll have to ask ourselves. Because the original basic principle of Ayurveda itself, and since morning we have been talking about that, is the Swasthya Rakshana. Prevention is in fact a primary objective. But then we still have, I don't know whether it is millions, I don't know. Definitely it is 10 to 15, 20, 50,000 of medicines, formulations, not the single drug, the formulations. When we look into the classical texts up to say about 19th century, I don't know, it may reach even million also. Because there are several Ayurvedic classical texts, I think more than, if you restrict them, 100 to 200, and each have thousands of formulations in them. And then, this is in fact the classical medicines. What about the proprietary formulations? Numbers, we don't know, because there are hundreds of manufacturing companies. So altogether, we have again a mind-boggling numbers of formulations. We have both classical and proprietary. Then, again the question is Ayurveda too depends much on medicines? This is the question we'll have to ask ourselves, because now the modern thinking is drugless therapy. You are trying to establish a drugless therapy, going towards yoga, preventive aspects, and so many other things. But when we look into the number of Ayurvedic formulations also in our own classical texts, then the question, is Ayurveda too a drug-centric? Of course, this is a little bit beyond my talk. The next slide, please. The classical medicines, what we talk of, is very clear to all of us. The classical medicines, as we know, are the formulations mentioned in our classical texts. It is as simple as that. And at the same time, when we look into the regulations laid down by authorities, government, etc., the classical medicines are those, obviously, which have been described in the authoritative reference books. And the formulations, next please. The formulations which are produced by manufacturing companies, and in fact this is the actual regulations which have been described in first schedule of the Drugs and Cosmetic Acts, very clearly indicates, in relation to Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani Tib systems of medicine, are the formulations containing only such ingredients mentioned in the formulae described in the authoritative books of Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani Tib systems of medicine, specified in the first schedule, but does not include medicines which, of course, administered by parental route, and also a formulation included in authoritative books or as specified in the clause A. This is the definition of the patent medicines or the patent or the proprietary. In fact, it is called proprietary medicines especially. We should call it as, but here it is understood as a patent medicine, and the difference what we can understand now. The classical description, the medicines which have been described in the classical text, the formulations which have been described in the classical text. In contrast, the formulations which have been produced, which are being produced by the manufacturers, which should not be away from the drugs which have been described in the classical text, especially the individual drugs, the herbs, raw drugs, and those can also only be combined and formulation can be produced. That is the proprietary patent medicine. In fact, the term patent is, I think, a misnomer, because in the present context, the patent is those which have been innovative, which has been produced something very novel, and only then the international bodies give the patent to that, and then only it is called a patent. But when we are talking about the formulations, either it be classical or proprietary, then I think the patent, the term patent is a kind of misnomer. We obviously will have to specify the term as proprietary medicine rather than patent medicine. Next slide, please. But here, I have some reservations about this schedule which have been described, the classical text which have been described in the first schedule of this Drugs and Cosmetic Act. What do you mean by authoritative reference books? There are about 30 to 40, around 50 textbooks have been laid down as authoritative books in that schedule. But what about the texts which have been added there? For example, one Rasatarangini. Rasatarangini, can we call it as a classical textbook or not? We'll have to decide. Why I am selected, there may be some others also, but Rasatarangini has used, the author has used, or the author has prescribed some of the chemicals also, including some of the acids and other things, etc. Whether we can call it as authoritative text, and if that is an authoritative text, and according to the definition there, can we make use of such chemicals which have been used in the formation of the formulations in the textbook? That's one of the things I think we'll have to look into. Next slide, please. The Aushadhi Kalpana, what we call, or also we call it as the Bhaishajya Kalpana, is a branch of science which is important because it is part of the whole system, the Ayurveda, because the Dravya is an important part of the whole system of healthcare in Ayurveda. So when we talk of classical medicines in contrast to patent medicines, whether it is classical or whether it is patent, there are some laid down rules from the classical text. We can see that the established protocol, Charaka, as long as about 3000 years ago, has established some rules and regulations and important protocol for the preparation of classical medicines, which I think should be applied to the the proprietary medicine also. As we can see, the Yogadapi Visham Tikshnamutam, the poison can be converted into a good medicine, whereas the good medicine can also become a poison if it is not used by using our wisdom by the Vaidya. Next slide, please. And of course, several, I think the protocol and the regulations have been laid down by acharyas, especially the Charaka. Many drugs which have been combined together have their own individual properties, attributes, and sometimes these combinations, when the combination is not judicious, not properly, not done with wisdom, then the drugs may themselves react together and cause some adverse effects. That also has been laid down here. And there are, of course, some drugs, the combination of the drugs which are combined together for the synergetic action. And ultimately, the Charaka says that the combination should be smaller comparatively than quick acting, alpamatram mahavegam, as he says, palatable and causing no adverse effect. These are the some of the protocol and the regulations laid down by Charaka. Next slide, please. And these again, alpasyapi, even the smaller the components or the formulation is there, in spite of that, it should act, action should be comparatively in a higher side. That is the idea. Next slide, please. And Vaidya here, in the earlier days, as we know, the Vaidya himself used to prepare the drug. There is no, I think, term used in those days, in the context of those days, manufacturing. It is, in fact, the preparation of the drugs by himself, Vaidya. And if Vaidya is having the knowledge of both Vyadhi or the Rogi and the drug, he is claimed to be the best Vaidya, as we can see in the Pada Chatushtaya also. So obviously he needs to know the fundamentals, and when he knows the fundamentals, obviously he can prepare, he can concoct his own formulation. That is a, I think, catch is there. If he wants to treat a patient, he decides what is the disease, diagnosis, and what is the line of treatment, and ultimately the formulation. Unless he knows all these things, I think he cannot produce or prepare a novel combination, an important, effective combination. And unless he knows all these fundamentals, he cannot prepare the formulations. And this is then shift to the present era. Is Vaidya preparing medicines? Is Vaidya preparing his own formulations? No, he has to depend on the manufacturer. The concept of manufacturing has come to this now. So, to act, he should be a master of both the patient's rogi, according to Charaka, and also the drug. Next slide, please. So, now the Vaidya and the manufacturer, in contrast, I have been telling you. And Vaidya now has been sidelined. He has to only worry about his patient, neither the drugs nor the formulations, because he is neither actually looks into the drugs, looks into the properties, probably properties he may be looking, actually their qualities and other things, and only he has to depend on the wisdom of the manufacturer. So what manufacturers say, so we are here to produce, we are here to manufacture your drugs, don't worry about that, we are going to worry about those things. And classical drugs also we prepare. Most of the manufacturing companies prepare their own classical medicines also. There is no problem, we can prepare them also. And patent medicine, oh yes, we can prepare them also, because where the economy exists. So it is I think the liberty or the freedom has been taken away from the Vaidya, and it is more of an industry now, manufacturing industry. Yes, we call a pharma industry, we call it. So he'll have to, I think, make some amends with the drugs, with the formulations, and that onus has now shifted to the manufacturer. Next slide, please. So obviously, whether we like it or not, it is the onus now is shifted to manufacturer. There is no strong hold on the drugs, on the formulations which are being prepared by somebody else. In spite of that is the practical thing we'll have to do. I think preparation of the drugs, formulations by a doctor is, I think, not possible in this present condition, scenario. Hence, we'll have to worry about the drugs and formulations prepared by the manufacturer, and the whole onus is now shifted to manufacturer. So he has some fundamental regulations has to be followed, protocol has to be followed. Whether these are being monitored properly or not is some different issue. So in order to produce both classical and patent or proprietary medicines or the formulations, manufacturer has to do. And when he tries to manufacture these formulations, he should lay, or the manufacturer should lay, the fundamental principles has to be followed as described in the classical text or the Charaka has said. So they should be ethical, they should be effective, and faithful in the sense, faithful to the patient, faithful to the doctor, etc. As we can see that there are no issues as far as classical yogas are concerned, because the set rules have been laid down by our acharyas in the classical text. What are the drugs, how to collect the drugs, how to collect the raw drugs, how to preserve them, how to treat them, shodhana and other things, etc. And what are the judicious combinations, all those things are laid down, and it is no problem with the manufacturer to manufacture these classical drugs. The problem is about, yes, of course, from the drug to the process, the manufacturer has to worry about, because the readily available SOPs are there, and follow the lines of the classical text very faithfully. And now the laid down GMPs are also there. Those are to be followed. Only then we think we can get the drugs or formulations which are can be used properly. Next slide. But the problem is with proprietary formulations. There are many Vaidyas even have some apprehension about the formulations, patent formulations was what we are calling them, the formulations or proprietary formulations. There are some apprehension about especially the senior Vaidyas. Even now, some of the Vaidyas stick to their classical formulations described in the classical text, whether they may be prepared by manufacturers, because there is no other go. But still they are a little bit hesitant about using these proprietary medicines. Yeah. And there is, because oceans of formulations in classical formulations available, and if there are thousands and thousands of classical formulations are available, then why go for this proprietary medicines? That is their contention. And well, that's a valid question also, because there are, I think, if we take the medicines formulations available in a classical text are about 100, then hardly we are using about 50. I think about 50% the formulations which have been described in the most of the classical texts are not being used at all, because we don't know whether the Vaidya is not aware of those things, or they are not being taught in the colleges, etc., or their importance has been not known to us, the doctors and the students also. That is one of the things we'll have to worry about. But in spite of that, there is always room for innovation, creativity, modern technology is there, and modern research is there. Based on this, if there is a way to prepare, manufacture some drugs which are not being described in the classical text, not the new drugs, but described in the classical text, make a combination, judicious combination, and try to prepare a drug which is judicious and all the properties which have been described in the classical text. If they are there, then why not accept it? Next step. Some issues like extracts are being used, and extract versus, there is always a discussion about extract versus about whole plant part, etc. And the present trend probably, the modern Ayurvedic manufacturers are doing some things about extraction and other things. Those are all the issues which can be discussed in some other platform. Next. So the combinations, one or two examples I would like to give, like Triphala, Panchakola, Hridayanavaras, Rasindur, a very comparatively smaller. Compare them with, say, Sudarshana font having 53 drugs in them, Balataila 41, Dashimula Arishta 72 ingredients, Ekanga Virasa about 26. So you look into those combinations. Again, the problem is, next slide please. So this is one example, Triphala, in the Triphala Gugulu, I am trying to work out. So unless we know the combinations, unless we know the properties, Rasaguna, Viryopaka, and all those aspects, we cannot explain to the students, and also we are not very sure why we are using these things. That is how we'll have to work out. Next slide, please. Next, please. Yes, this is a multi-drug combinations. Large number of individual drugs are combined together to make it very large formulations, and which is very highly complex. And many factors come into play when we look into the combinations, and interaction between the drugs are comparatively difficult to understand, and sometimes difficult to assess also. And factors of samskara, different kinds of samskaras we adopt, and those things always not very helpful to us in deciding what kind of formulations we are going to use. Next slide, please. So, adhere to the ultimate aim is adhere, whether it is classical medicines or the patent formulations, adhere to the basic principles, understand the relation between each drug in the combination and also the disease, and mere mixture of the drugs, mere mixture, taking some drugs having similar properties and add them together and call it as a proprietary medicine, is it the way? First example is Jatamausi, Shankapushpi, Mandukaparni, Brahmi, Yashti, Ashwagandha. It is one formulation I have seen in a proprietary, as a proprietary medicine. Of course, all of them are made there and all those things are there. Whether it is it the way to combine them and prepare? Because look into the classical formulation. They have some different approach to it. Like Smriti Sagarasa having Smriti Sagarasa used in the similar way, but whereas the drugs are almost altogether different drugs. Even it has got Hartala and Manashila also. So in conclusion, I'd like to say that there is no restriction for manufacturing classical drugs and at the same time proprietary drugs as well, provided the combinations are ethical, GMP standards are followed, quality assessment is done, rationality is assessed properly. So let the formulating Vaidya, here Vaidya is not formulating, that's a I think, irony of this. Let the formulating Vaidya or the manufacturer assess them and then decide which is the formulation is proper. And when the concepts are in place, I think there is no need for misconception. That is what I would like to express in